Approximately 2 hours after the container explosion, the incident commander made the decision to shift command of the incident to a location more suitable to the growing number of responding agencies. An off-site unified command post was established at the Navy and Marine Corps Reserve Center, Los Angeles, located just off Highway 47 on Terminal Island, approximately 1.5 miles away from the container explosion. The new location had the space and communications infrastructure necessary to support the Unified Command Organization, consisting of a command staff supported by operations, planning, finance, and logistics sections. A Joint Information Center was also set up at the Reserve Center as a focal point for media relations. While the Reserve Center was chosen primarily for exercise logistic purposes, it remains a viable site for real-world use as a command post for some types of incidents occurring in the harbor area.
Part of our process, along with LAPD, was to set up a perimeter, keep all unnecessary people out of the hot area. LAPD did do a search for secondary devices, and that's continuing. And they also established security so that no one can get on or get off without being checked.
The Joint Investigative Operations Center, or JIOC, combines all law enforcement investigative capabilities under one unified command group. This action allows all agencies that have jurisdictional or functional responsibility for an investigation to develop a common set of objectives and strategies. The JIOC also greatly improves the sharing of information among agencies and improves efficiency by reducing duplication of effort. During AWI04 South, the JIOC stood up the day before the incident occurred as a result of simulated intelligence warnings of potential attacks on the West and Gulf Coast. When the terrorist attack occurred, the JIOC immediately began the investigation. By collecting evidence at the crime scene and gathering intelligence from simulated investigators operating both domestically and internationally, the JIOC was able to determine the identity of the shipping company that had imported the exploded container. Once the shipper of the radiological bomb was identified, the JIOC determined the serial numbers of 4 additional shipping containers believed to contain weapons of mass destruction. Working in collaboration with the immigration and custom enforcement agents, as well as Custom and Border Protection officers and the FBI, the JIOC found 2 of these containers relatively quickly. However, the 2 remaining suspect containers remained unaccounted for, requiring the JIOC to continue to pursue dozens of leads, hoping to get the key piece of information that would allow them to locate the mobile weapons before further attacks could be carried out. As the investigation progressed, the JIOC discovered evidence that several suspected terrorists remained in the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. They quickly shared this information with Unified Command, who directed the Joint Tactical Operations Center to conduct surveillance of the locations of the suspected terrorist cells. Information gathered during the surveillance led the Unified Command to direct the Joint Tactical Operations Center to prepare to conduct the simultaneous takedown of 3 targets in the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. The investigation to determine the location of the missing containers concluded the next day, with one of the containers being located and the other detonating on a rail car in Ventura County. The resulting simulated train derailment near Simi Valley was the focus of a large-scale casualty evacuation and decontamination operation. At mid-morning Friday, 6 August, a simulated explosion of unknown cause derailed a train carrying sea-land containers north from the port of Los Angeles. The explosion and the subsequent simulated derailment took place just as the train was approaching Oak County Park in Ventura County, California. A large troop of Boy Scouts were having a summer jamboree in the park, and the simulated shrapnel blast, ensuing fire and derailing rail cars wreaked havoc among the scouts. Many, including their adult leaders, were either moderately or severely injured. Responders from Simi Valley PD, the Ventura County Sheriff's and Fire Departments, American Medical Response, and many other fire, law enforcement, and emergency medical service agencies from throughout the county rushed to assist, including mutual aid from as far away as Cal State University Channel Islands. As with the previous day's incident, first responders to the derailment declared the scene to be a mass casualty incident and began to care for the victims while organizing their response in accordance with the incident command system. Triage and treatment areas were quickly set up. Victims were triaged and in some cases decontaminated, then were moved to the appropriate treatment areas prior to being transported by ambulance a sufficient distance to simulate evacuation to area hospitals. Many of the hazardous materials and law enforcement personnel supporting the evacuations were heavily stressed by the requirement to work in level B and C protective gear in ambient temperatures over 90 degrees. The California wing of the Civil Air Patrol was called in to provide overhead photography of the scene and as a real-world train watch to help ensure the safety of the participants. As the law enforcement investigation of the incident got underway, a quantity of simulated rifles, ammunition, and other small arms equipment charred by the blast was discovered along the railroad track in the debris of the derailment. Further investigations revealed that a crushed shipping container found in the simulated wreckage was one of the suspicious containers being searched for from the previous day's incident in the Port of Los Angeles. While a quantity of an unknown gray powder found near the wreckage caused a biological hazard scare for a time, unlike the Los Angeles scenario, there was no radiation involved with the Ventura County incident. While the investigation into the Port of Los Angeles explosion continued, a Joint Tactical Operations Center, or JTOC, was established to coordinate all necessary law enforcement tactical operations. This joint effort allowed the various federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies involved to assemble their tactical operation decision makers together into a cohesive team to achieve the specific tactical goals assigned by the Unified Command. Interviews of the crew of the research vessel Atlas, combined with radio intercepts and the physical evidence found at the scene, led investigators to conclude that there was a strong possibility of armed perpetrators hiding in 3 potential locations in the harbor area. Upon receiving orders from the Unified Command, the JTOC planned and coordinated simultaneous takedowns of 3 sites by a number of the participating tactical teams. These sites were Warehouse Number 1 and the RV Atlas, both in the Port of Los Angeles, and a large roll-on, roll-off vessel named the Cape Isabel in the Port of Long Beach.